You're watching Free Speech TV, and I'm Latoya Peterson from racialicious.com. Here at the Take Back America conference, we are broadcasting live, and we are joined by Tracy Van Slyke, who is newly of the New Bottom Line organizing coalition after your long career in media reform and advocacy. So let's talk a little bit about the American dream. Like, this concept is something that we take for granted, but it may not be as defined. Tracy, what's the new American dream? What are we looking to actually reconstruct, rebuild, or reframe?
So for a lot of people, the American dream was always a dream. It was never really considered attainable. So when we talk about the American dream now, we say at the New Bottom Line, it's three main things. It's good jobs we deserve, healthy communities we need, and a good government that fights for all of us. So those are three broad ideas, but really drill into basic needs that everyone wants. It's not about sort of owning a mansion or having your own island, but the basic things that help people support themselves and their family throughout their lives.
And how is the New Bottom Line cooperating with Occupy Wall Street and these other grassroots movements that are springing up in kind of this populist response to the ridiculous corporate agenda that we've been accepting and accepting?
So the New Bottom Line is a coalition of all these grassroots organizing groups from around the country. National People's Action, PICO National Network, Alliance for a Just Society. We've been working on Wall Street reform for many years, and a lot of the people that we represent and that work with us on the ground are people from struggling and middle-class communities, African Americans, Latinos, homeowners, family farmers, all sorts of different walks of life. So we've been laying the groundwork for many years on what's been happening, what we're seeing with Occupy Wall Street, which didn't just spring up out of nowhere. There's been a lot of groundwork, planning, people that were trained around this stuff for years. Now that Occupy Wall Street has been this phenomenal sort of spark for so many people that has made them feel empowered, we're really excited to see that, and we're also figuring out different ways as it's spreading across the country, how that's joining up with these weeks of action that we've already been working on and rolling out as well. So for example, in Seattle a couple weeks ago, we had hundreds of people shut down the Association of Washington Businesses, which was sponsored by JP Chase, and then shut down the intersection in front of JP Chase, and where 11 people were arrested. In San Francisco last week, we had people take trash from foreclosed homes that were owned by banks and deliver them back to the banks. And as cities are coming up in the next few weeks, Chicago, LA is this week, Minneapolis and Denver, St. Louis, a lot of our local grassroots groups are now teaming up with the Occupy Wall Street groups that are popping up in each of those cities to bring in all sorts of new kinds of people and bring them together to take on Wall Street, to take on corporate accountability, or take on corporate control of our democracy, and take on the big banks that crashed our economy.
Cool. And just to end out, you know, solidarity is such a tough, tricky thing. You're bringing so many different groups together. We've already heard criticisms of Occupy Wall Street based on kind of the colonialist language being used, talking about the faces of the organizer not really reflecting the diversity of America. How are you working toward building kind of a more perfect union? Let's go ahead and appropriate that.
I wrote an article about this actually for ourfuture.org last week, where I talked about how these different strands of the movement, Occupy Wall Street, the New Bottom Line, we can work with different kinds of people. Not every movement is going to reflect every single populace, but how we bring the different strands of the movement that are empowering and moving those groups is the strategic sort of next step. And how we transfer the energy into real relief for people on the ground is what we need to think about collectively. So as we're bringing different kinds of people who are directly impacted and who have been impacted by this economic crisis for decades to the fore, Occupy Wall Street is bringing a lot of different kinds of young people in. So how do we connect them, have them work together? And I think we're starting to see this as the local groups are connecting with the local Occupy Wall Street groups around the country, and that's going to be the challenge and the opportunity.
We've been speaking to Tracy Van Slyke of the, sorry, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We've been speaking to Tracy Van Slyke of the New Bottom Line on organizing Occupy Wall Street and where we're going from here. I'm Latoya Peterson of racialicious.com. You're watching Free Speech TV. Stay tuned for more broadcasts from the Take Back America conference.